Woo, and there you go. And we're coming in hot tonight. You're listening to the Indoor Football Experience with the coach and the kid. Another Monday night, another great indoor football show with plenty to talk to you about. Hopefully you're dialed into our new time, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern. RJ, how you doing, man?
You know, Coach, I'm doing pretty well tonight. I had a couple burgers for dinner, had some Dairy Queen for dessert. I'm in a pretty darn good mood.
Oh man, you're living a pretty much a pretty high level college guy diet there, man.
Yep.
Yeah, that boy, you're eating good in the summer. I like it, man. Well, it makes me feel better on this end, man. So, like I said, man, we're coming in hot tonight. Plenty to talk about. In case you're just joining us, you can listen on live at afnn.net and also at afntalk.com. And if you want to join us via phone call, RJ, go ahead and give them the number.
Yeah, you can call in at 310-876-8064. Once again, that number is 310-876-8064. If you want to give your indoor or arena football opinions or just say hi to me and the coach, by all means, call me. We'd love to have you.
Yeah, it'd be great, and I think tonight couple things that we definitely want to do. So everybody out there listening worldwide to the Indoor Football Experience tonight, again with the coach and the kid, want to definitely talk about the championship games from the past weekend, and maybe we'll just talk about some of the rumblings and some of the leagues that have already finished up for the season, some of the smaller leagues that we've been getting more and more into during the course of the year. Those leagues, again, I think they do a lot of what you promote on this show, RJ. It's an opportunity for the fans to get out there and support a team if you have a team in your area. So we've got to continue to make sure that we shed some light on what's going on some of these. I don't even like to call them lower level leagues. I just like to call them smaller leagues.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it. I also think calling yourself a developmental league is not a bad thing at all, if that's truly what you are. Because, I think developmental leagues definitely have their place. Fans are always saying the NFL needs one. They have their place, and it's important to have because not every league can be the big bad wolf. And when leagues are honest about how they market themselves, it's so refreshing because so many leagues going over their heads and say, yeah, we're the next big thing. Half of the season, like, yeah, we may have thought we were going to do better than we're doing right now.
Yeah, and that's what creates competition and creates a competitive industry out there. What you're doing, how you're presenting your product, and are you starting and finishing the season. So that's that. That's the goal. And like you said, man, everybody's out there, I think, working to try and accomplish that. You can go about it in this industry, fortunately and unfortunately, so many different ways, so you have to respect everybody, and you have to respect the people that are out there with their own self-thought formula on how to have success in this industry. So again, like you said, if you have a team in your area, no matter what league, no matter how big, how small, make sure that you get out there and you support that league, and first and foremost support those players and coaches.
Definitely. These people pour their heart and their soul into what they do. They're not getting paid a lot of money no matter really what league you're in. You max out around $250 per game. And I think, for the work that people put in, the least you can do is give it a look. And, if you're not interested, fine. But don't go to bed saying, man, I missed out on a darn good game tonight. I wish I went. Don't go to bed like that. Sleep easier at night.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of times, it comes down to cost. And I don't have a problem with that. That's part of the business, part of the industry. But I do think that some of the smaller leagues, they offer costs that are really fan friendly and cost effective for families to, take a family of 4 or 5 to a game and not spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
Absolutely. I think it's great with the indoor and arena game because you really don't have to drop that much money to get a quality experience. And it's one of my gripes with the NFL and major sports in general. Listen, I love a good sporting event. I really do, especially football. But to try to justify, spending my entire, almost all the money I'm going to make for a good while on one night, not knowing if the weather's going to be miserable, if my team's even going to be in good form, if we're going to be resting players or not. It's hard to justify that sometimes. Whereas here, you guarantee there's no weather issues with indoor and arena ball. That's one of the great things about it. Then another great thing about it is that you get a lot of bang for your buck. You can get pretty decent seats in most of these arenas. There's really not a bad seat in the house, at least in the lower bowl area. And still, even then, the upper bowl seats are still pretty darn nice in most of these venues. So, again, give it a look. Some tickets can go as low as $27, and then some leagues, some teams have admission for under certain ages for free. So why not?
Yeah, I think, one thing that, I've always wanted to focus on, particularly when I get in the situation again to have to appeal to fans is, I don't know about all areas, but youth sports and youth football is big in a lot of areas. And we just didn't focus enough on the youth football and the middle school football teams as far as establishing them as a fan base.
Very important fan base to get into. The comparison I always make, I'm a bit of a video game nerd, so by the way, EA, if you want to make another indoor or arena football game, please get on that. But that's beside the point.
I don't have a problem with that either. I own both of them.
Oh, they're amazing. Anyway, I think what would be great is that, what Nintendo did in the 1980s was they appealed to the younger audience and they've stayed true to that brand over the years. If you get the younger people into the game, you're having homegrown talent, and 15, 20 years down the line, you can say, you have a great article reading, this kid used to watch the team in person. Now he's on the field. Or some kind of great news story that your local channel will pick up. It's something like that really gets people invested in a team, a homegrown hero. And if it's a team-grown hero, now you're really talking.
Oh, yeah, and then if you really want to take it a step further, have him a year, have him come back, and then move him up to a higher level,
Oh, that's about as dream scenario as you can get. It'll happen eventually. Listen,
you gotta go big,
Yeah, if you can send Kurt Warner to the NFL from the Iowa Barnstormers, I think we can get some homegrown talent going. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. I had the opportunity to be around some of the XFL showcase guys, and University of Missouri was represented well. The particular player I was with was Juwan Lewis from Ferris State, a running back. And he showed well and performed exceptionally well. But, it certainly looked like at least XFL St. Louis. Now, several other XFL teams were represented as well at this particular showcase, but it certainly looked like from an XFL standpoint that they are going to do everything they can to have some type of University of Missouri representation if the player has a high skill set and can make a team on the team here in St. Louis.
That's nice to have because and the XFL is a great league for this because after a lot of these indoor players move up, they'll typically go to the CFL, sometimes overseas, but there's no real 11-man alternative for them to go to, and the XFL is going to provide that. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of talent go from the AFL and the IFL to the XFL. It's definitely going to be interesting to see the percentage rate of who goes and what positions go. One of the positions that does not get enough love, at least in the arena side of things, is kickers. If you're a Carolina Cobras fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. talking about. Because last year you had Craig Peterson, who's now at the Columbus Destroyers of the AFL, and he and Henry Neal were, without a doubt, the top two kickers in that league. Dropping deuces from over 60 yards out, it was an amazing thing to watch. And if you're a Steelers fan like I am, you're thinking, can we just give one of these a one-time chance to go up against Boswell? Please, for Pete's sake.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I've referred to the APFL on a number of occasions on our show, and again, a great league. I had an opportunity to referee in a couple different cities there, but mainly in Sedalia, Missouri. And I saw a kicker there one Saturday night, and I mean, this kid was phenomenal. He was making kicks from all over. Now, he did not get an NFL opportunity, and I can't remember his name. I can look it up here real quickly, but I can't remember his name. But my story is he was able to move up to the highest level, spend some time kicking in the Arena League and the IFL, and he previously just kicked at a small college, NAI college in state of Missouri.
Yeah, and if you want to talk about people refining their skills who are kickers who make it big time off of smaller leagues, let me tell you about a guy named Adam Vinatieri. Oh, that's right. He didn't get a start in the NFL. He wasn't drafted. He went undrafted, went to NFL Europe for a couple years to refine his skills, played for the Amsterdam Admirals, came back to the U.S. and went down as arguably the greatest kicker to ever play.
Yeah, definitely. You never know where you're going to find kickers, It makes me think of the kicker Stenerud that was from the Kansas City Chiefs back in the day. Juan Stenerud, I believe.
That's
but anyway,
great name.
He came here from like some European country on a ski jumping scholarship to like University of Wyoming or Montana or some crazy place, and all of a sudden found himself on a football field somehow and kicking, and basically turned it into a Hall of Fame kicking career for an organization.
Yeah, another great kicking story is Pete Gogolak.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Pete Gogolak was he played soccer over in Europe, came to the U.S. and he admitted he got into football for the ladies to get more ladies. He was very open about that, and he said he was used to kicking the ball like a soccer ball. Because back at this time, people were just kicking it straight toe, straight forward. You take 3 steps and hit it with the tip of your toe and hope it goes in. And Pete Gogolak comes along and he's like, I'm not doing that. I'm going to use my normal soccer kicking style. And like up until really Mark Mosley retired, there was at least a couple people doing straight style kicking. But with Gogolak, he introduced soccer style, or just what we call normal kicking today in the NFL. Give these kickers some credit. By the way, if you want to see a great kicking clip from Arena Ball, type in "kickers are not allowed to strut." Robbie Gould's younger brother, I believe it's Chris Gould, makes an amazing tackle for the Chicago Rush, does this funny little strut, and the announcer has a call of a lifetime.
Okay, I would definitely got to check that out. It's just funny. You can make it from so many different ways, out there. But yeah, I definitely got to check out that Robbie Gould deal, man.
Yeah, his younger brother. It's a great clip because everyone had a great time with it. That's the thing about these games. Everyone's having a great time. And this community, the indoor arena ball community, is a very special one because when someone makes it to the next level, no matter what team you play for, what league you're in, everybody is genuinely happy for that person. Because it is a grind to get to that next level, and everybody in this community really respects that. It's not like the NFL where you prima donna saying, yeah, that should have been me on the Madden cover, or I should have been team MVP. No, it's not like that here. We're all grateful for the experiences we got, and we're happy to see people move up, whether it's coaches, players, referees. If it's a mascot somehow moving up, I'd love to see that.
I mean, all of those type of things happen, including the mascot moving up. I've literally seen it. I know a couple of them who have. That's basically being a gymnast with a suit on, like a bear suit or something,
Yeah,
So
I mean,
you got to be an incredible person, and they all are.
Yeah, I want to be full disclosure. For like my schools, I believe it was part of the soccer and part of the basketball season last year. I had the brilliant idea of becoming a mascot. Now, mind you, I am not a gymnast in any sense of the word. And I'm just sitting there like, holy cow, it's hot. Someone pass me the water. So like next time you're making fun of a mascot, remember how hot it is in there.
Man, I will tell you this. I have been in organizations where I have done pregame stuff with the mascot, So whether we meet and greet and pictures in the lobby or whatever, and I know for a fact that it's super hot in there. Now I'll tell you what, man. This guy was a gymnast as well. He could do everything. Now, for your sake, if you were not a gymnast, like you just self-proclaimed you were not or anything, that would have meant, in order to be a really good mascot, it would have meant you basically dance at like a near a Michael Jackson type level.
No, we're a small school. They need someone to do it. I got like $5 a game for it. I'm like, why not?
Right. Okay.
That's how I got the gig.
There you go. So that's the kid. I'm the coach, and you're just listening to us kicking around, talking a little indoor football. You can listen live at afnn.net or at afntalk.com. We're going to move it along and talk a little bit about the CIF championship game. Not really a high-scoring affair. But definitely we had a great game like the CIF produced down the stretch with the Duke City Gladiators pulling it out. Back-to-back championships, so kudos to them. Kudos to our past guests, DC Stoneham. We also had Dello Davis on at that time too. So kudos to the Duke City Gladiators and two-time back-to-back CIF champions.
Yeah, back-to-back is a hard thing to accomplish in any league, especially because the indoor and arena leagues have that chance of you jumping from, one league to another more than any other sport I can think of. So, staying in a stable league long enough to win back-to-back, to be that dominant, is a really impressive thing. Also, this is something I've not pointed out yet, but I feel like it's time to. I think Duke City has the coolest name for an arena yet. It's Tingley Coliseum, and I don't know why, but I love the sound of that, just for the record.
Hey, whatever they can to draw the fans in. Great little atmosphere, from everything that I've ever heard from players that have been there. And actually, I was with one, the running back that I mentioned, that I was with on Saturday, had spent time with Duke City, and I asked him some extensive questions, just off the record about the organization, his time there, something I always do. And he'd been a number of places, and that was number one as far as everything as far as the players were concerned. So that's like we always talk about a smaller league, but at the same time, and I'm sure as far as the Salina Liberty are concerned as well, both teams doing everything that they can to be as professional as possible and treat their players as professional as possible. And that's why, you have to get out there and you have to support these teams and leagues because, there's opportunity out there. And if not, I guarantee you after back-to-back championships in Duke City, there's some definite fan favorites.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Nothing pulls in fans like a winning team. And that's great. However, if you want to see that winning teams, that means showing up while they're a losing team and giving them your support because indoor and arena teams are known for folding and relocating. I'm going to be blunt with everyone who's listening on that one who's not quite aware. These teams will jump location and fold, not because they're necessarily bad teams, but, it's not exactly the glamour of the NFL. It's not the high budget they got. So when a few things that might be minor to an NFL team happen to an indoor team, that might be it. So, support them throughout the good and the bad and have fun with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, a great championship game. Talk a little bit about it. The thing was the Duke City defense really, showed up and made scoring difficult for the Liberty as well as the Liberty. If you can hold the team under 40, 50 points in indoor football, you're doing a great job. So they had a hard, tight-fought game. A couple of big quarters of scoring in the first and fourth really were the difference for Duke City in the game.
Definitely. When you look at the box score, Salina shut out Duke City in the third quarter, which was really impressive. And I want to go over the final play of the game with you, Coach, because we were talking on AFN Live a bit about the play call. I'll give you the rundown for those who aren't aware how it ended. So quarterback drops back to pass, and so Andrew Jackson's dropping back to pass, three-step drop. He looks, now he has Tracy Brooks, the receiver, in the front of the end zone. He has, I forget who's in the back of the end zone. And they're crossing. Now, reminder, the indoor end zones range from 5 to 7 yards, so they're smaller than the NFL fields. And already doing a crossing route from 3 yards out in the NFL field isn't easy. So, Brooks sees the ball, and it's somewhat in his vicinity, thinking, oh, it's for me, and tips it, and it falls to the ground. However, what he didn't realize is the man behind him had about a 2-yard radius of nobody near him. If that ball had a little more arc to it, we could be talking about the Select Liberty being champions here, Coach.
Yeah, and like they say, it's a game of inches, and in championship games, it seems like it always comes down to plays like you just, described in excellent and great detail. It comes down to the little things, a tip here, a tip there. It's a game of inches, and that's what it comes down to, is a close ball game.
And that's about all CIF fans could ask for at the end of the season, because a great championship game means everything. I've been spoiled. I'm younger. I've seen more great Super Bowls than a lot of NFL fans have, but I did see that dud of the Panthers-Broncos, was it? No, Broncos-Seahawks. That was the dud. And from minute one, it was just like, well, I know how this one's going to end. That wasn't the case here. It was well fought the entire time through, and congrats to both teams for making it this far. And I hope to see them all come back next season.
Yeah, again, the teams are doing an excellent job of keeping players together. I think it helps the leagues, it helps the teams. I hated it. 1 year I was in the IFL reffing, and I saw a great player in Arkansas. Great player. Literally was on 3 teams in one season, and I'm like, come on, because I kept bumping into him different places, basically, because he kept changing teams that were coming into that arena, So I like the stability in the rosters, and again, these teams, I'm sure, without question, have fan favorites, and that's the thing that I think is good. If you really want to take care of your fans, you want to keep some of the popular players around and let the fans get to know them, and let them develop a relationship with your fan base. It's critical.
Absolutely. When you have a player who's your face of your franchise, that's so important, not just because, the fans love him, but the media will swarm to him. I can tell you firsthand, I've been trying to interview Edgar Allan Poe after his New York Streets home games the entire season, and every kid wants a photo with him, which is great, and every media source wants an interview with him. And, first of all, I just want to thank Mr. Poe for being, so polite with everybody he encounters. Really impressive. Second of all, it's hard to get to people for interviews after the game, because either if it's after when they want to celebrate, it's after the loss, they might need a little time to themselves. So it's impressive what these players, get publicity-wise, even on these smaller scales.
Yeah, a lot. Excuse me. A lot of times you just have to be upfront with the players and make sure they understand what's important. And again, if you say the fans are what is important, you have to make sure that that is the case. So whether it's signing after the game or taking pictures, or sometimes like we used to tell our guys, hey, we gotta if we do suffer a loss of sorts, we have a job and an obligation to the fans. Let's put that loss on hold for 30 minutes, or whatever, post game on the field, and take care of our fans before they clear our venue. And we lose that connection with the fans for that particular outing and game. That's usually the end of it until the next home game. So um, uh, again, that's stuff that your good organizations, they coach their players up on the field and off the field, and some players are coachable like that, and some players aren't coachable. So at the end of the day, everything the players do is going to represent your organization and what your organization is about. And like I said, both of these teams, you can tell they do a great job, and professionalism is important to them all the time.
Absolutely, and it's a pleasure to see these players, work hard for what their dreams are, and when they do well, you can just see the joy on their faces. Also, one of my favorite things, like if you're standing in the party areas by the end zone or really close to the dashboards, sometimes before kickoffs, like they might high five you, and that might seem like a super small thing, but like imagine how that feels to little kids at their first game. You don't get that in other sports.
Oh man, that's part of it. I can tell you from being an official, being there on a kickoff line or a receiving line, right by where the type of thing that you're talking about occurs in the back end zone, or right at that part of the sidelines on the way to the back end zone, or what have you. Those things are important. I've seen, again, like I said, you take your fourth grade, fifth grade football team out there, they're going to run up and down the aisles, to get a high five from a guy or whatever. So again, that's all stuff that, players have to make sure that they do a good job of. And all part of being a good football player, in my belief, is being a great entertainer and understanding when you're entertaining, and when you're playing football, and in between scores and kickoffs and this and that, you're not playing football. You're somewhat of an entertainer, and you have to cater to your fans.
Yeah, some of the best moments I've seen, at least in New York, are like they'll have these little kids do a dance competition. You like get 7 to 9 year old kids usually, and what I'll see happen is like first the cheer squad will get into it, and then you'll see like these large men like ranging from like 190 to like 300 pounds just dancing for a good minute or two. It's the coolest thing. I forget which game it was in particular, but the New York streets are like, guys, get out the field. You're eating up game time. I thought it was the funniest thing. Cause I'm like, come on, they're having so much fun. It was just amazing to see.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was looking back through some pictures from several seasons, and some of the best pictures are with just different kids that you come about for whatever reason, And a lot of times, especially out there with us, so many single parent families, sometimes parents end up doing something different than they really would normally do, So, for instance, they're going to an indoor football game because the kid loves it, or a couple of his buddies went and told him about it, So, those are the type of things that, again, you have to keep going. I think one of the important things is, like, you're always thinking of, what can we do, intermissions and halftime and fun stuff, to make it entertaining. Number one. Number two is to draw a few fans, and as many fans as possible. So I think that's key. The best way to do it, is whatever activities or contests that you can figure up that you can do on the field. Get some kids on there, and then they're going to go to school. Yeah, we were out there, we were doing bat spins, or we ran all the way down there and we put on a football uniform and ran back and took it off. Whatever. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that
funny
makes
story about
the
those
whole
kinds of races,
experience.
Coach. Got a funny story about that. And at the most recent New York Streets game against the Pirates I was at, there was this one little kid who clearly had his mind on getting from point A to point B. And he was scurrying along, and the pants are way too big for the guy. So by the time he gets to the finish line, they're down by his knees, and you just see his shorts. There's about a 6-inch gap, and then you see what remain of like the uniform pants. And everybody just loved it.
That's funny, man. So that, like I said, that kind of stuff. The number one contest that I like for the adults is I like the field goal kicking contest. People think it's so easy, to kick a field goal. Not only is it hard outdoors, it's additionally harder indoors.
Yeah, smaller goalposts. I mean, you have the Chicago Bears literally using arena goalposts to practice this year because they were having kicker issues.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I'll tell you what, man, on all of those type of contests, I got to be honest with you. It seems like I've seen more women have success kicking field goals indoors through indoor arena goalposts and those type of contests than guys.
Interesting observation.
Yeah, so
I haven't got caught out there. I would do it, but like full disclosure, I don't think I have a single chance of hitting the kick.
Well, it's almost like the person who picks out the contest participants. It's kind of like they're out there they're kind of preying on a person who doesn't fit the stereotype per se that can kick a field goal or make it, so he looks like he'll miss. Hey, you want to do the field goal kicking contest at halftime? We're giving away $10,000. Oh, you are? Yeah, come on over. All right, perfect.
Reminds me of there's this great video of Vince Wilfork taking on Carly Lloyd in a kicking contest a few years back at Houston Texans camp. Carly Lloyd, the soccer player for the women's national team, does it with ease. And then I see Vince Wilfork come up, one of the biggest linemen, in the game.
Right.
And he doesn't even get under the ball. They show it in slow-mo. He, indents the ball, about a third of the way up and just goes flying. It was great.
Yeah, that's funny, man. Who can, speaking of kick a football, that's not a kicker, Odell Beckham. You ever seen him?
I've seen him with kicking nets.
Yeah, he can kick. He can do two things. He can kick a football and he can launch a football like a quarterback.
You know who was actually not a bad kicker who I really would have liked to see more kicking from? Chad Johnson. He did play emergency kicker one game and he wasn't horrible.
Yeah, wasn't he even playing in some Mexican club soccer game a couple of years ago or something Chad, as well?
Okay, Chad, piece of advice. If you're going to go to Mexico to play a game where they speak a lot of Spanish, you might want to fix Ocho Cinco to how to actually say 85 in Spanish, because Ocho Cinco is not a G.
Right. That's funny. So, yeah, athletes are always trying to do something now, it seems like, if they get out of sports or their careers in earlier than they want. It's kind of funny. So anyway, you're listening to the Indoor Football Experience. We're just talking about all kinds of things. We'll talk a little bit about the CIF championship game, Duke City winning back-to-back. Again, RJ is going to give you the call numbers here in just a minute. If you do want to listen online, you can listen to the Coach and the Kid at afntalk.com and at afnn.net. So jump on your computer, tablet, or smartphone, log on, and you can also call in and join the Coach and the Kid. RJ, let them know.
Yep. If you want to join me and Coach Hart to give your opinions, say hello, bring another topic that you think is relevant, We'll have you calling at 310-876-8064. Once again, that number is 310-876-8064.
Yep, and we'll jump over and talk a little IFL. Great season in the IFL. It's been fun to talk about it from start to finish. And
yes, a lot of fans had strong opinions about this championship game.
Well, there's a lot to talk about it. And again, Storm, a lot of people feel like was an upset. But you called it. Storm beat the Rattlers 56-53 in the United Bowl, and they get it done on the road. It was really weird watching them celebrate in the home venue.
Yeah, it is weird seeing a visiting team come to a home venue and win a championship. It's a little unusual. But, indoor football isn't your normal sport, so I don't know what you're expecting.
Yeah, again, it's not on such a large stage as where you would really, obviously the home crowd dominated everything. And unfortunately, they even had people who lowered themselves to booing once the game was over. But anyway, like I said, it was interesting to listen to the post-game broadcast while the celebration was going on with the Storm. Close football game. Everything seemed to kind of come together for the Storm, and I think they had a great game plan for the Rattlers. I think the Rattlers might have thought it was going to be an easy victory over them, and I know a lot's been said about the officiating and lack thereof, or this and that, but regardless, at the end of the day, I always feel like the best football team that day won, and I believe that's what happened Saturday night.
Yeah, because I do want to go into this because the fan bases have responded with some strong statements. In some forums, people are saying, if someone hasn't called an attorney yet, then someone should. That is how bad this was. People should be demanding refunds. This sounds like the aftermath of Super Bowl 40 when the Seahawks fans were – and again, this is just some fans. I'm not saying this about all fans of the game. I'm just saying some people are acting like Seahawks in Super Bowl 40 where they're saying, the calls. Listen, refs are not perfect. I can assure you Coach Hart wasn't a perfect ref. We all like being couch refs, but we miss some pretty obvious stuff even when we're couch reffing. At the end of the day, it's not just because of bad calls that someone wins or loses a game. I'm going to bring down some stats for you, all right? So, stat number 1, third down efficiency. Sioux Falls, 86%, 6 of 7. Arizona, 57%, 4 of 7. All right, Sioux Falls beats them there. Fourth down. Sioux Falls, 100%. Arizona, 50%. Total offense, Sioux Falls, 293. Arizona, 236. And it goes down and 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 down. Penalties. Sioux Falls only had 47 penalty yards. Arizona had 59. That's barely over 100 penalty yards. So, the penalties weren't being called as much as it sounds like they were.
Yeah, it always seems like whenever the officiating is brought up, it's something that's more untimely than the volume. Every now and then, the volume can be at a real, lopsided discretion, so to speak. Okay, doesn't happen often. A lot of times, the penalties, when you look at things at the end of the day, they match up a lot closer than what you think. But they're timely, and when they occur and the situations that they occur in, really signify the importance of the infraction called.
Absolutely, because as much as I do think refs should be held accountable for their actions, so should players, and that's why we got the refs in the first place. We don't want players throwing wild haymakers and, sneaking a yard ahead before a play starts. You don't want that either.
Yeah, there's a lot of, you bring up some absolutely very interesting key stats. I even go down to look a little further, net passing yards, 191 to 146, just again, another area you did not win, again, net pass yards per play, 10.1 to 7.0. Again, another area you didn't win. Sacks, 1 for 9. You gave up 3 sacks for 20 yards, a lot in indoor football, So, again, it like I said, it just never, in my opinion, comes down to the officiating unless it's a controversial last play of the game type call, and like I said, I do believe at the end of the day, the best team on just about every level of football that I watch, I'm involved in and cover, I believe at the end of the day, the best football team generally wins that day. They're the team that deserve to win. And if you look at the score, that's what the scoreboard says. If you want to look at the stats closely and break down the stats like we've had an opportunity to do, the stats to say the Storm were the better football team that day.
And speaking of the Storm, they, by the way, have increased their amount of United Bowls to 7. And only 3 teams have won the United Bowl up to this point. Coach, off the top of your head, can you name them?
I know Barnstormers won.
Oh, then there's 4, I think. Yeah, 4, pardon me.
Barnstormers won. The Billings Outlaws won. I'm kind of stumped after that.
Arizona.
Okay, Arizona, and then who would be the 4th one?
Well, Arizona 1, Sioux Falls 2, Billings 3. Did I miscount? Iowa 4. That's right. For a second, I thought I miscounted and made a complete idiot out of myself.
Okay, so I had 2 of them, Billings and Barnstormers.
Yeah. And I gotta say, Sioux Falls is a very dominant squad. They've been a dominant squad since their founding.
You're right. I got to shout out Joe Blunt Jr. For sure with athlete scouting, because I'll tell you what, man, we were at a combine, an indoor football combine with athlete scouting in October. Joe had played with the Triangle Torch and didn't have a home and bounced around in the off season. 4 different organizations basically in one season, with probably another 4, 5, or 6 being interested. But at the end of the day, I mean, literally, Joe Blunt Jr., man, from the bottom to the top with the Sioux Falls Storm. I'm so glad that he got to dress out and got to contribute and got to raise up that United Bowl. And, he's from St. Louis, same area that I'm from. And a lot of people don't know about him. We learned about him. We went to the combine. He was one of the best players out there that day. And I've had an opportunity to just talk to him behind the scenes and know what's going on and wish him the best. And like I said, man, it's just amazing that from the top to the bottom to a United Bowl championship, man, for him.
Absolutely. And by the way, here's an interesting fact about Sioux Falls. So the last time they had a 500 record is 2005, back in United Indoor Football. And the only other time they had a 500 record was 2001 in the NIFL. They have never had a losing record, which is pretty insane when you think about it. Almost 20 years of being around and no losing records. I don't care what league you're in, what sport you're in, that's pretty darn impressive.
Without question. The funny thing is the league has made a lot of rules that even the Storm feel like are rules that are made against them, so to speak, particularly when they were in that run where they won so many in a row. They were just dominating indoor football. But, now it seems like things have kind of stabilized, and they were able to really bring in the guys that they wanted. A lot of guys that they had existing relationships with, that had played there before, understood scheme, the system, the coaches they have in place, all the things that are critical to being successful out there. So kudos to them along the way for bringing in a lot of those players that have been with them before, and then being willing to take a chance on a quality player again, like I said, a Joe Blount Jr.
Definitely, sometimes it's the gambles that really pay off.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm just thinking of this little indoor facility that we were standing in, last October, and this guy doesn't have a job, and this guy's shutting down, man. I mean, every kid that came to this combine, that's wide receiver, he just shut down the whole group. And the receivers wanted to stay extra and keep competing and keep running routes, and he was like, all right, that's cool. Just shut these guys down for the afternoon. So, like I said, that's the best way to really get to get friendly and know a player's skill set when you see it in person. And a lot of times guys that can really play in situations like that, they stick out so much. And he was one of those type of players that day where, man, he was a dominant player, man. He was shutting down every receiver that showed up in Kansas City that day. And you could just tell that he was a good player. And it seems like that system was a good fit for him because he went up there. And I believe when he went up there, the intentions were for him to play and grow as a professional indoor football player. And not only was he able to do that by dressing so frequently, he's able to win the championship in his first season with the team. That's incredible.
It is. Also, question about Joe Blount Jr. I've been meaning to ask me himself, but I haven't had the opportunity. Maybe Coach. There's no way he's related to legendary Steeler Mel Blount, is there?
I've never heard that, so I can't confirm one way or another. But
Joe,
hey,
if you
man,
ever hear this, man, please let me know.
That's a good question for him to ask him. But like I said, man, super cool guy, very humble guy, and just deserving, man. The kind of guy, man, you're happy that he got in a great situation. He was able to win a championship. So just kudos to him.
Absolutely. Love it when somebody really does that, zero to hero type, ascendance. And it's fun to see because, as a fan, that's what you want, the underdog story. That's why, especially indoor fans, love the Kurt Warner story. Went from stocking shelves in Des Moines, Iowa, and playing for the Barnstormers to becoming a Hall of Famer. I'm not saying everyone in indoor league's going to do that, but, we all love a good underdog story.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. The funny thing is, just talking a little bit more about the United Bowl a little bit, it made me think, that's why these leagues are able to exist is because of one person succeeding and finding success at the ultimate level, by league MVP, Super Bowl MVP, and Hall of Famer, a guy that was doing it on the level that so many of these guys are right now, and one thing that sticks out to me, you're talking about the United Bowl and just the different intangibles that took place in the game. I'm looking at time of possession and Sioux Falls Storm with basically 32 minutes and 59 seconds, 33 minutes for the Storm, 27 time of possession for Arizona. So, essentially a 5-minute differential there. And the thing that sticks out is it's almost like outdoor numbers that we see from Sioux Falls offense with 200 yards passing and 100 plus yards rushing. and a couple receivers, that were able to pass the, spread the love around on the receiving core. Obviously, with Brandon Shepard leading the way with 6 grabs for 115 yards, but you had 2 other guys, you had 3 other guys catch multiple catches, and then you had, you had 4 running backs, including the quarterback, with 20 yards or more. So to give you, those are quality outdoor rushing numbers. So if you can get that type of rushing indoors, my goodness, you're going to be able to win games.
Absolutely. And there have been successful running backs that came from the indoor game. Fred Jackson, the All-Star Buffalo Bill player, started indoors, believe it or not. So if you can accelerate in the indoor game, you can definitely do well on 11-man.
No doubt about it. Fred Jackson, again, one of those type of players, when they come into your arena, came in, played the River City Rage in 08 in the United Football League, and then 09 in the IFL. Something like that. But anyway, a different type of player, like, oh, this guy's a little different than the other guys that come in here, that type of thing. So a player that stands out and, is a definite difference maker out there on the field. The thing about the Sioux Falls Storm is it seems like they don't have as many there's no Tyler Knight out there, a Hall of Fame level player, indoor football league level player, a real difference maker. But there's a whole lot of good football players out there, and it's kind of balance out the talent even on a team like that, and I think that's why you just see so many good numbers spread around to so many. No one's numbers are really jumping off the charts at you. Yeah, the 6 catches for 115 yards jumps off the chart, but everybody else with 4 and 2 and 3 grabs, so there's a lot of talent on both of these football teams, and I think the statistics definitely reflect that.
Definitely. And I gotta say, I'm doing it first for a player of the week.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Well, we're going to be getting to that real soon. Like I said, talking championship football, and it's a good opportunity for you to listen to the indoor football experience. We're talking CIF championship with the Duke City Gladiators repeating back-to-back championships in the Champions Indoor Football League for them. And then the Sioux Falls Storm adding another trophy to another United Bowl, to their trophy case with a big victory over the Arizona Rattlers, giving them their first and only defeat of the season with the score of 56-53. So again, close football games. The offseason doesn't take long in the indoor football level.
It does not.
So the off season is going to get going here pretty quickly, and it ought to be interesting. So hopefully both of those teams enjoy celebrating for a little bit of time. And like you said, we'll be right in the thick of the off season, and several of the other leagues out there are already in the off season with a lot of what I call movement and discussion.
I like that terminology. Now, Coach, question. There's this one commentator in Iowa who, when 2 players get heated, they say the commentator says, and they're talking about their family trees. Who is that guy? Seriously, he deserves an award.
Not sure. You got me on that. So
I know the voice when I hear it too. I forget the name though. If there are any Barnstormers fans out there, Iowa fans, please inform me on who this man is and call ESPN.
Yeah, the funny thing is with YouTube broadcasting the games, we're getting a first-hand look at the broadcasters from a lot of the different teams. And, a lot of the teams have named people broadcasting their games, particularly in the IFL, whether they're named differently, whether they do college basketball or something of that nature, or done basketball or football nationally on a regional level. So it's great to have that type of coverage for all of these teams like that. And again, the IFL is the leader in this right now, just for the simple fact that I never hear any issues or complaints about YouTube as opposed to some of the other streaming services out there. So kudos to the IFL. Being able to put that championship game in the hands and in the laps of so many people to watch.
Absolutely. Getting your product out to the masses is so important, and it's easier than ever in the day of internet. So to make use of that is very important, and I think the IFL has done an amazing job. I sometimes will look at the IFL channel's old videos, like back when they first went on YouTube, and they've had a pretty constant uploading since they first joined the platform, I gotta say, which is really impressive.
Yeah, definitely, but I think that's just the progression and the development of the product and technology and the ability to broadcast via YouTube. So I'm learning a little bit more about it on a day-to-day basis here on this end myself. And I'm definitely not computer illiterate. I'm relatively computer savvy, but that's the thing with technology, man. There's always something to learn.
Absolutely.
So that's the fun part about it. So we are coming up against the clock as far as things go. So again, why don't we let our fans know? Listen, if you want to be able to listen live to the Indoor Football Experience with myself, the coach, and that's the kid on the other end, you can log on at afntalk.com. You can also log on at afnn.net. And RJ, throw those numbers out there again, so all of our fans worldwide at least have that number and have it stored in their phone ready to go for weeks down the road.
Sure thing. So if you want to call and give your opinion on things indoor and arena ball related, you can call in at 310-876-8064. Once again, that number is 310-876-8064.
All right, there you go. And it's that time. And everybody that's a fan of the show and the regular listeners out there worldwide, they know it's time for us to give the coach and the kids Indoor Football Experience Player of the Week. So I know that you were ready to go, coming in hot, just like we started the show. That's how we're going to end it. So who are you going with this week?
All right. Well, I'm giving my first co-players of the week.
Okay.
First, and they're both special teamers for that Sioux Falls Storm team. Pardon me, Arizona Rattlers team. Actually, despite the loss, I felt they couldn't be ignored. First, you had Gerard Harrington, who had a pretty good day on the ground, rushing for a good 32 yards. And a rushing touchdown, but his big highlight was his 58-yard kick return for the touchdown. He got over 130 yards in the return game, and pardon me if I butcher this name, Jimmy Kamiko. Again, Jimmy, I'm so sorry if I butchered that name. But he was perfect on his extra point, 6 for 6, perfect on his field goals, 1 for 1, got a total of 9 points. And, honestly, that's some great special teams play. And you can't ignore that no matter the outcome of the game.
No, you can't at all. And I'm going to definitely go a different direction, definitely on my Indoor Football Experience Player of the Week. So I've definitely been quarterback driven. But again, I just love these numbers that Sioux Falls Storm wide receiver Brandon Shepard put up in the championship game. Again, 6 catches for 115 yards, 19.2 yard average per catch, a 40-yard long, and 1 touchdown. So a lot of catches there to keep drives going. And again, to put up a 100-yard game on an indoor football game is outstanding. So that's the coaches. Player of the week, Brandon Shepard. So good job by him, and both those teams enjoy celebrating, and we look forward to covering them both in the off season, and look forward to having some guys on, or maybe some coaches from both of those organizations to talk about the season and the championship game. So we're up against the clock. RJ, where can everybody stay in touch with you during the course of the week?
Sure thing. So you can find me on Instagram. My handle is RJ_Ciancio. Ciancio is spelled Ciancio. You can find me on Twitter at CiancioRJ, or follow me on Facebook at RJ Ciancio. And Coach, where can we find you?
All right, outstanding. Thank you so much. You can find the coach on Facebook at Lynn, Lin, last name Hart, Hart Jr. You can follow me there on Facebook at Lynn Hart Jr. You can also follow me on Twitter. You can follow me at lowercase at the Coach28. Also on Instagram at lowercase as well at the _Coach28. And also, if you would give our indoor football team a like as well, we throw a shameless plug out there. If you'd give the Gateway Blue Jackets indoor football team a like, we'd appreciate that as well. So RJ, it's been a great show. We're going to do it again next Monday at the new time, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern. So for the kid, I'm the coach, and our outstanding executive producer Harry Bob, this has been the Indoor Football Experience. Thanks for listening, and we will check you out next week. Peace.